Hasta Nakshatra, cognitive subconscious patterns, audio, visual, and kinesthetic. Some individuals process the world through sound and language, thinking in words, tone, and rhythm. Others take in life visually, focusing on patterns, shapes, and form. And some experience reality kinesthetically through movement, sensation, or emotional touch. Hasta Nakshatra, ruled by the moon, emotion, instinct, and symbolized by the hand, has a unique ability to blend all three modes. However, it naturally leans toward a kinesthetic auditory style, absorbing information through movement, rhythm, tactile engagement, and inner dialogue. These natives think with their hands, feel with their bodies, and often express through craft, gesture, or word. Their dominant style is shaped by planetary placements, especially in the 1st, 3rd, 5th, or 10th houses, where perception meets precision, expression, and visibility. If moon is in the 1st house in Hasta, the processing is strongly kinesthetic. These individuals feel life through the body, through breath, sensation, and subtle emotional shifts. They may have exceptional muscle memory or emotional recall tied to movement or rhythm. In Hasta, this creates a deep need to do as a way of understanding. They may work with their hands, create rituals, or rely on repetitive motion to process feelings. If moon is in the 10th, this kinesthetic sensitivity becomes outwardly channeled. They feel their way through social dynamics, expressing poise, gesture, or physical grace in professional settings. If Mercury is in the 3rd house, the subconscious tilts toward auditory processing. These natives think in dialogue, inner narration, or rhythmic speech. In Hasta, Mercury sharpens their mimicry. They often echo what they hear, making excellent speakers, writers, or comedians. They may also communicate with tone and inflection more than direct language. If Mercury is in the 10th, this verbal intelligence becomes part of their public persona. They may teach, counsel, or lead through their ability to articulate and listen. If Venus or Moon is in the 5th house, visual processing is more prominent. These individuals retain information through symbols, patterns, symmetry, or aesthetic arrangement. In Hasta, which already has a gift for crafting and shaping, this leads to skilled artisans, designers, or performers. They may see the steps of a process in images or organize their thinking through visual mapping. If Venus is in the 10th, this becomes their professional strength, conveying beauty or precision through visual structure or physical coordination. If Mars is in the 1st or 3rd, the processing style is tactile and action-oriented. These individuals learn best by doing, by engaging the hands, the body, or physical repetition. In Hasta, Mars adds initiative and control. They need direct interaction with tools, materials, or movement to integrate knowledge. Their body becomes their learning device, and they process instinctively through trial, adjustment, and execution. If Ketu is in the 5th or 10th, the subconscious processing becomes intuitive, nonlinear, and symbolic. These individuals may not rely on words, visuals, or physical logic, but instead absorb impressions energetically. In Hasta, this can express through healing hands, energetic work, or silent knowing. Their insights come through patterns they feel, even if they can't explain them. They often move or create from a place of subtle memory or karmic recall. Hasta's gift lies in its precision, dexterity, and emotional intelligence. Whether through hands, words, or subtle impressions, these natives process life through tactile clarity and emotional resonance. Their evolution lies in trusting the intelligence of their body and the rhythm of their inner voice, knowing that their perception is not abstract, but lived, shaped, and expressed through action. When fully engaged, they become graceful bridges between thought, feeling, and form. Hasta Nakshatra, motivation direction. Towards versus away from. Some individuals are motivated by what they want to achieve, driven by aspiration, curiosity, and forward momentum. Others are driven by what they wish to avoid, mistakes, discomfort, emotional exposure, or loss of control. Hasta Nakshatra, ruled by the moon, emotion, instinct, fluctuation, and symbolized by the hand, leans subtly toward an away-from motivation style. These natives often act to regain control, restore emotional balance, or correct what feels unstable. Their drive is rooted in precision, self-protection, and the desire to keep things in hand, literally and figuratively. However, when feeling emotionally secure or confident in their skills, they can shift into a towards style, especially when pursuing mastery, healing, or creative refinement. Which direction dominates depends on planetary placements, especially in the first, third, sixth, and 10th houses, where motivation, expression, and effort play out. If Moon is in the first house in Hasta, the native is instinctively away from. Their actions are rooted in emotional self-regulation. They move to soothe, protect, or restabilize. These individuals may hesitate to act until they feel safe or emotionally in control. In Hasta, this often manifests as careful pacing. They withdraw when overwhelmed, then re-engage when clarity returns. If Moon is in the 10th, this emotional caution extends into public life. They manage their image and responsibilities carefully to avoid judgment or failure, often taking quiet, calculated steps towards stability. If Mercury is in the 3rd house, the motivation leans towards, particularly through learning, expression, and skill building. These natives are curious and responsive, driven to understand how things work. In Hasta, Mercury enhances their cleverness. They are drawn to improve, solve, fix, and finesse. Their motivation arises from the desire to shape the environment or perfect their craft. If Mercury is in the 10th, this drive becomes professional. They take initiative in communication-heavy roles, aiming for clarity, progress, and influence through steady refinement. If Saturn is in the 6th house, the native is deeply away from motivated. These individuals often act from a sense of duty or quiet pressure, aiming to avoid mistakes, inefficiency, or disorder. In Hasta, this gives them a reserved perfectionist edge. They are not loud, but deeply committed to preventing chaos or criticism. If Saturn is in the 10th, this becomes part of their career identity. They are reliable, slow to act, but persistent, often choosing long-term safety over quick gain. If Rahu is in the 1st or 10th house, the native may swing towards motivation, often chasing status, transformation, or validation in the outer world. In Hasta, this creates internal tension. They want to maintain control and emotional stability, yet Rahu stirs ambition and urgency. This blend can produce a motivated healer, technician, or strategist who moves forward while constantly checking for risk. Their actions are often bold, but their internal world remains cautious and reactive. If Jupiter is in the 3rd or 10th house, motivation becomes value-driven towards. These individuals act from inner belief or wisdom. They are pulled toward what feels righteous, expansive, or meaningful. In Hasta, Jupiter softens their usual caution and invites trust. They may take leaps toward growth, learning, or teaching, especially when it supports others. Their hands become tools of insight, not just control. Hasta's default is to act with care and control, not to charge ahead, but to ensure nothing slips through the fingers. Their away from nature isn't fear-based. It's grounded in awareness, emotional intelligence, and the need to feel steady before moving. Their evolution lies in learning to trust their skill and timing, so that they can move not just away from discomfort, but toward healing, mastery, and quiet excellence. When balanced, they become the poised hand behind subtle but powerful transformation. Hasta Nakshatra, attention direction, self or others. Some individuals are inwardly focused, tracking their emotions, thoughts, and inner rhythms with a self-oriented lens. Others are more attuned to their surroundings, paying close attention to people, energy, and external feedback. Hasta Nakshatra, ruled by the Moon, sensitivity, reflection, and symbolized by the open hand, tends to oscillate between both, but often leans toward an others-oriented attention style. These natives are naturally observant, skilled at reading the room, adapting to subtle cues, and adjusting their behavior to manage outcomes. However, their emotional nature and instinct for control can make them retreat inward, especially when they feel energetically overwhelmed or misunderstood. Which way their attention leans depends heavily on planetary placements, especially in the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th houses, where personal identity and relational dynamics are most active. If Moon is in the 1st house, the attention is self-focused, particularly on emotional state and internal balance. These natives are highly aware of their moods, comfort levels, and how interactions affect their sense of stability. In Hasta, this creates a hyper-tuned emotional self-monitor. They may withdraw quickly when overwhelmed, focusing on restoring inner peace. If Moon is in the 7th, the attention turns outward, They become sensitive to others' needs, reactions, and emotional climates, often taking responsibility for maintaining harmony or subtly managing others' emotional responses. If Mercury is in the third house, the attention shifts to others through mental engagement. These individuals are observant, curious, and responsive to the thoughts, words, and behaviors of people around them. In Hasta, this manifests as sharp listening, adaptive communication, and an almost reflexive ability to mirror or manage social interactions. If Mercury is in the 10th, this attention becomes professionally directed. They excel in roles requiring verbal precision, client-focused interaction, or nuanced emotional intelligence in the public sphere. If Saturn is in the 4th house, the attention tends to be self-directed, but guarded. These individuals monitor their emotional landscape closely, often restricting outward expression in favor of internal control. In Hasta, this can create a quiet, perfectionistic energy. They notice flaws, manage emotions privately, and rarely show vulnerability. If Saturn is in the 10th, the attention becomes split. They remain privately self-monitoring, but become hyper-aware of how they're perceived in public, often overcorrecting to appear composed, competent, or in control. If Rahu is in the 1st house, the attention becomes self-intensified, obsessively focused on identity, progress, or how one is seen. In Hasta, this can heighten performance anxiety or make the native highly self-conscious. Their inner narrative may dominate attention, even while they appear others-focused on the surface. If Rahu is in the 7th, the obsession flips. They may become fixated on relationships, status through others, or how to adapt themselves to meet external expectations, often losing touch with their authentic emotional needs. If Jupiter is in the 4th or 10th house, the attention balances between self and others, guided by values, insight, and wisdom. These individuals pay attention inwardly to align with truth, but also look outward to uplift or educate others. In Hasta, this creates a gentle ability to support others while honoring one's own center, using presence and care as tools of influence rather than control. Hasta's natural strength is in perception. Whether focused on themselves or others, they see, feel, and sense with precision. Their challenge is to not lose themselves in managing others, or conversely, become so inwardly protective that they disconnect. Their evolution lies in learning to balance emotional self-awareness with empathetic responsiveness, knowing when to reach out and when to return to center. When integrated, they become subtle yet powerful empaths, offering healing not through force, but through presence, adaptability, and grace. Hasta Nakshatra, understanding chunk size, big or little. Some individuals grasp life through overarching concepts, big themes, patterns, and symbolic meaning. Others understand best through detailed steps, absorbing knowledge in practical, methodical parts. Hasta Nakshatra, ruled by the moon, intuition, rhythm, and co-ruled by Mercury, analysis, logic, naturally leans toward little chunk processing. These natives are often hands-on learners who break things down to understand how they function. Their mental clarity comes from repetition, precision, and control, especially when it comes to skills, healing, or service. However, when emotionally stable and mentally confident, they can also zoom out and apply what they've learned to broader insights. Whether they operate in specifics or big picture terms depends on planetary placements, especially in the 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 10th houses, where cognition, expression, and refinement take form. If Mercury is in the 3rd house, the mind is sharply detail-oriented. These individuals naturally dissect information, learn through observation and repetition, and organize thoughts piece by piece. In Hasta, Mercury's influence supports precision and subtlety. They thrive in environments that allow step-by-step refinement, often excelling in technical, linguistic, or service-based work. If Mercury is in the 10th, this detail-driven approach becomes their professional asset. They may be the go-to person for logistics, structure, or quality control in public or leadership roles. If Moon is in the 1st or 5th house, the emotional learning process remains little chunk, but it's layered with sensitivity. These natives absorb in phases based on emotional safety and energetic rhythm. In Hasta, this results in intuitive sequencing. They feel their way through ideas, often needing to emotionally integrate each stage before moving on. If Moon is in the 10th, they may carry this methodical learning style into professional roles, becoming emotionally reliable and measured in how they apply knowledge in public or caregiving spaces. If Jupiter is in the first or ninth house, the native is pulled more toward big chunk understanding. These individuals see meaning in systems, philosophies, and spiritual truths. In Hasta, this introduces an interesting tension. Jupiter wants to grasp the whole story, while Mercury wants to break it down. When balanced, this creates a mind that can toggle between small and large perspectives, seeing both the detail and its wider implications. If Jupiter is in the 10th, this can manifest as leadership based on wisdom, where detailed steps support visionary goals. If Saturn is in the 6th or 10th house, the style leans heavily little chunk, but slow and disciplined. These natives build understanding brick by brick, with a focus on structure, duty, and repetition. In Hasta, Saturn enforces mastery. They won't move forward until each layer of knowledge is solid. If in the 10th, they may appear slow to act, but are deeply reliable and respect for the thoroughness of their expertise. If Ketu is in the 5th or 1st house, understanding becomes nonlinear and intuitive. These natives may bypass traditional step-by-step logic and instead download insight in flashes. In Hasta, this can challenge their need for mental control. They may distrust or struggle to verbalize what they know. Their learning is often symbolic, spiritual, or emotionally absorbed rather than rationalized, giving them wisdom that emerges from experience rather than method. Hasta's natural rhythm is to work through precision, detail, and layered refinement. They often prefer to master something through repetition and careful engagement, learning better through process than abstraction. Yet their brilliance lies in taking these little chunks and eventually assembling them into graceful systems, healing techniques, or thoughtful service. Their evolution comes when they trust both the steps and the insight, knowing that clarity doesn't always come in size, but in the steady shaping of what they already hold in their hands. Hasta Nakshatra, frame of reference, internal or external. Some individuals rely on an internal frame of reference, making decisions based on their own intuition, feelings, and lived experience. Others seek validation and guidance through an external frame, looking to feedback, structure, or authority. Hasta Nakshatra, ruled by the moon, emotion, introspection, and co-ruled by Mercury, adaptability, feedback, often toggles between both. It leans naturally inward, needing personal clarity before acting, but its social intelligence and need for functional harmony make it sensitive to others' expectations. Planetary placements, especially in the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th houses, determine whether the native orients primarily toward their own truth or external input. If Moon is in the 1st house, the frame of reference is strongly internal. These individuals are emotionally self-guided, tuning into how something feels before committing to action. In Hasta, this creates deep personal alignment. They trust their rhythm and rarely push forward unless it resonates. If Moon is in the 10th, this internal compass remains, but is filtered through social responsibility. They act in public roles, but quietly weigh decisions against emotional readiness or internal peace. If Mercury is in the 3rd or 10th house, the frame shifts toward the external. These individuals are receptive to communication, learning through feedback, dialogue, or observation. In Hasta, Mercury brings adaptability. They listen well, refine constantly, and shape their choices based on what works socially or functionally. If Mercury is in the 10th, their external orientation becomes professional. They adjust based on workplace norms, peer input, or public standards. If Saturn is in the 4th or 10th house, the reference leans external, but with restraint. These natives make choices through a long-developed sense of responsibility, often deferring to systems, tradition, or expected duty. In Hasta, Saturn adds seriousness. They may suppress inner knowing if it contradicts societal obligation. If in the 10th, they are especially sensitive to authority and reputation, measuring actions by external benchmarks of success or failure. If Jupiter is in the 1st or 9th house, the frame tends to be internally philosophical. These individuals consult inner wisdom, ethical frameworks, or spiritual values when navigating choices. In Hasta, this creates a steady, compassionate approach, They're guided by what feels meaningful or aligned with truth, even if it differs from conventional advice. If Jupiter is in the 10th, they may still operate publicly, but do so from an inner vision rather than purely external pressure. If Rahu is in the 7th or 10th house, the native often becomes externally preoccupied, fixated on how others see them or what others expect. In Hasta, this can create internal fragmentation. They may struggle to reconcile their private rhythms with the need to perform or impress. They often chase external approval, learning later in life to return to their own emotional and intuitive center. Hasta evolves by balancing inner knowing with outer responsiveness. Its strength lies in trusting its internal emotional intelligence while skillfully engaging the world around it. When aligned, these natives make choices that are both intuitively sound and socially graceful, guided from within, but never out of step with what the moment requires. Hasta Nakshatra, action preference, proactive or reactive. Some individuals are proactive, initiating change, planning ahead, and stepping forward with intention. Others are more reactive, tuning into the environment, responding to emotional or situational shifts, and acting when the timing feels right. Hasta Nakshatra, ruled by the moon, receptivity, mood, and co-ruled by Mercury, adaptability, thought, tends to lean toward a reactive action style. These natives prefer to assess, feel, and calculate before moving, responding with care rather than pushing ahead. Yet, when emotionally balanced and mentally clear, they can become quietly proactive, especially in service-oriented or skilled roles. Planetary placements in the 1st, 3rd, 6th, and 10th houses shape whether their default mode is initiation or intelligent response. If Moon is in the 1st house, the action style is deeply reactive. These natives are emotionally guided, acting when they feel the moment is right and pulling back when unsettled. In Hasta, this often results in emotionally timed precision. They may delay action, but when they move, it's calculated and intuitive. If Moon is in the 10th, this reactivity becomes externalized. They adapt their public actions to emotional undercurrents, social cues, or perceived expectations, often leading quietly through presence and response. If Mercury is in the 3rd house, the action style becomes more proactive, especially through communication or planning. These individuals enjoy moving quickly through thought, solving problems, suggesting changes, or initiating conversations. In Hasta, Mercury enhances cleverness. They may not act boldly, but they move early and efficiently, especially in environments that require technical skill or social finesse. If Mercury is in the 10th, this becomes part of their public persona. They're known for anticipating needs and responding with professional agility. If Saturn is in the 6th or 10th house, the action style is slow reactive, shaped by duty and restraint. These natives do not act unless they've fully considered consequences. In Hasta, Saturn brings a reserved steadiness. They act when it's necessary, not just when inspired. If in the 10th, they lead through quiet action, fulfilling roles, maintaining structure, and stepping in when others hesitate, often without drawing attention. If Mars is in the 1st or 3rd house, action becomes more proactive, adding fire to Hasta's otherwise fluid rhythm. These individuals initiate quickly, especially with their hands, their words, or their will. In Hasta, this can manifest as skilled doers or fast responders who lead through execution rather than expression. Their challenge lies in balancing drive with the moon's instinct for rhythm, ensuring their quick action doesn't override emotional awareness. If Rahu is in the 1st or 10th, the action can become hyper-reactive or erratically proactive. These natives feel compelled to act, often seeking transformation, validation, or visibility. In Hasta, this creates inner tension. They may swing between action and hesitation, trying to control the timing of their rise. With maturity, they learn to temper impulse with skill, turning urgency into precision. Hasta's strength lies in timing and responsiveness. It may not be the first to act, but it often acts best through quiet observation, careful refinement, and emotional intelligence. Its evolution lies in trusting its instincts while also knowing when to take initiative. When balanced, Hasta natives become masters of right action. Those who may wait, but when they move, they do so with grace, skill, and perfect timing. Hasta Nakshatra, operational style, options versus procedures. Some people thrive with options, They prefer flexibility, variety, and the freedom to shift strategy. Others prefer procedures, clear systems, routines, and structured steps that create order. Hasta Nakshatra, ruled by the moon, rhythm, emotion, ruled by Mercury, logic, detail, leans naturally toward a procedural style. These natives find comfort in routines and precision, often mastering skills through repetition and refinement. However, their adaptable mind can embrace options when emotionally steady and intellectually stimulated. If Mercury is in the 3rd or 10th house, the procedural preference becomes highly refined. These individuals love organizing, detailing, and perfecting their workflow. In Hasta, Mercury sharpens their craft. They thrive in systems where their intelligence can translate into tangible results. If in the 10th, their procedures become public, they may rise through their ability to manage, plan, or troubleshoot with quiet brilliance. If Moon is in the 1st or 4th house, the operational style leans procedural, but emotionally anchored. These natives build routines based on emotional rhythm. They follow what feels right, repeating habits that offer safety and flow. In Hasta, the moon creates sensitivity to timing. They perform best when their environment is stable. If Moon is in the 10th, they carry this structure into their public life, often maintaining a composed, steady presence through consistent routines. If Saturn is in the 6th or 10th house, the procedural tendency deepens into discipline. These individuals build systems for survival, responsibility, and long-term mastery. In Hasta, Saturn makes them quietly exacting. They may insist on structure not just for order, but for emotional control. If in the 10th, they are often seen as anchors of reliability, succeeding through process and persistence rather than flash or flare. If Rahu is in the 1st or 3rd house, the native may rebel against strict routines, favoring options with an edge. In Hasta, this creates a subtle tension. They crave precision, yet get restless within rigid systems. These natives operate best when given room to innovate, adapt, or improve what's already in place. If Rahu is in the 10th, they may appear procedural outwardly, but often disrupt or reshape systems from within. If Venus or Jupiter is in the 3rd or 9th house, options gain spiritual or creative weight. These natives process experience through meaning or beauty. They prefer flow over rigidity. In Hasta, this adds grace to their methods. They may follow procedures, but only if the form supports a deeper function. They need systems that serve people, not just performance. Hasta's mastery lies in repetition, refinement, and rhythm. They trust the familiar, but their brilliance appears when they merge structure with intuition. Their evolution comes when they learn which rules to follow, which to rewrite, and how to blend precision with presence. When aligned, they create order that feels alive, quietly effective, elegantly efficient. Hasta Nakshatra views general or specific. Some individuals see life through a general lens, connecting patterns, meanings, and broader truths. Others perceive reality through a specific lens, focusing on detail, nuance, and exact observation. Hasta Nakshatra, ruled by the moon, subtle perception, and co-ruled by Mercury, precision, logic, leans strongly toward a specific viewpoint. These natives process through observation, analysis, and careful refinement. They often notice what others miss, not because they seek complexity, but because clarity and control are found in the fine print. If Mercury is in the 3rd or 10th house, the native's viewpoint is sharply specific. These individuals are mentally agile, detail-focused, and oriented toward method and correction. In Hasta, this expresses through craftsmanship. They analyze words, gestures, or systems with care. If Mercury is in the 10th, they may become known for professional clarity, offering structured insights, refined communication, or technical mastery in public roles. If Moon is in the 1st or 4th house, the perception is also specific, but emotionally driven. These natives focus on emotional texture, small cues, and subtle shifts in environment. In Hasta, Moon brings sensitivity to detail. They don't just see, they feel their way through specifics. If Moon is in the 10th, they carry this awareness into public life, sensing social nuance and adapting based on how the emotional atmosphere unfolds. If Saturn is in the 6th or 10th house, the view becomes methodically specific. These individuals analyze for efficiency, correctness, and reliability. In Hasta, Saturn reinforces the need to get it right. They notice flaws, inconsistencies, or gaps in structure. If in the 10th, this manifests as professional rigor. They may be perfectionists in service, management, or technical roles, ensuring that what they build stands strong. If Jupiter is in the first or ninth house, the view expands toward the general, though still informed by internal logic. These individuals seek broad understanding and guiding principles. In Hasta, Jupiter brings a philosophical filter. They may zoom out after first examining details, connecting what they know to larger truths. If Jupiter is in the 10th, they balance practical skill with a sense of mission, wanting their detailed work to serve a meaningful, big-picture purpose. If Ketu is in the 5th or 10th house, the native may drift into nonlinear, symbolic perception, bypassing both general and specific thought patterns. In Hasta, this creates intuitive abstraction. They may sense deeper truths, but struggle to articulate them clearly. Their mind reads between the lines but resists structure, requiring inner clarity before they can make sense of what they see. Hasta's true strength is its forensic perception, its ability to focus, refine, and respond to what others overlook. These natives live in the details, but when evolved, they also know how to place those details in service of something greater. Their growth lies in learning when to stay zoomed in and when to trust that not every truth needs to be dissected. When balanced, they become quiet seers, those who serve clarity not through abstraction, but through the exquisite art of precision. Hasta Nakshatra, work preferences, together, proximity, or solo. Some individuals thrive in together settings, collaborating in real time, sharing energy and outcomes. Others prefer proximity, working independently but near others, able to exchange when needed. And some excel in solo settings, relying on privacy, control, and personal rhythm. Hasta Nakshatra, ruled by the moon, internal rhythm sensitivity, and co-ruled by Mercury, skill, dexterity, most often prefers a solo or proximity work style. These natives are task-focused and mentally agile, but require space to concentrate, regulate emotions, and refine their craft. They work best when allowed to operate independently, yet feel supported or acknowledged by their environment. Planetary placements in the 3rd, 6th, and 10th houses shape how this preference is expressed. If Moon is in the 1st or 4th house, the work style leans strongly solo. These natives need emotional safety and uninterrupted flow to perform well. In Hasta, Moon adds instinctive rhythm. They prefer environments they can control, free from emotional unpredictability. If Moon is in the 10th, they may take on public roles, but still retreat inward to process and reset, often working behind the scenes, even in visible positions. If Mercury is in the 3rd or 6th house, the native prefers proximity. They enjoy light exchange, shared tasks, or environments where collaboration is efficient, but not overly emotional. In Hasta, Mercury supports focused communication and strategic teamwork. They can work around others, but need autonomy in execution. If Mercury is in the 10th, this becomes a strength. They may rise in service or coordination roles that require them to manage tasks with subtle precision while staying somewhat detached. If Saturn is in the 6th or 10th house, the work preference remains solo or structured proximity. These individuals excel in roles with clear expectations and minimal social distraction. In Hasta, Saturn emphasizes duty and discipline. They don't need crowds or constant input. They need a defined goal and time to perfect their process. If Saturn is in the 10th, they're often valued as steady, behind-the-scenes problem solvers or quiet leaders. If Rahu is in the 3rd or 10th house, the work style may shift toward together, but with a twist. These natives may crave visibility, collaboration, or social momentum, but still carry an underlying need for control or strategy. In Hasta, this results in someone who works in groups but guards their methods, contributing creatively, yet always calculating. If in the 10th, they may seek leadership or high-status roles where their talents are seen, but their process remains self-directed. If Jupiter or Venus is in the 3rd or 6th house, the preference can blend proximity with social grace. These individuals enjoy shared purpose and harmony in the workspace, but still require moments of solitude to regroup. In Hasta, these placements bring warmth to their precision. They work well with others if the environment is respectful, skill-based, and emotionally intelligent. Hasta's ideal workspace is one where privacy meets structure, a place to master their craft without chaos, but with enough interaction to stay inspired. Their growth comes from knowing how much energy to give to others without losing their internal flow. When supported properly, they become artisans of their environment, quietly productive, mentally sharp, and emotionally composed, working best when their hands are steady and their space is their own. Hasta Nakshatra, experience, association versus dissociation. Some individuals live through association, fully immersed in experience, emotionally engaged, and physically present. Others lean toward dissociation, observing from a slight distance, analyzing rather than feeling, and creating internal space between themselves and the moment. Hasta Nakshatra, ruled by the moon, emotion, fluctuation, and co-ruled by Mercury, discernment, detachment, has a natural tendency to toggle between both. By design, it leans toward dissociation, not out of apathy, but as a form of control. Hasta seeks precision and emotional regulation, often stepping back from raw experience to gain clarity. However, when they feel safe and in flow, they can associate deeply, especially through tactile, hands-on, or service-based connection. The dominance of one style depends on planetary placements, particularly in the 4th, 5th, and 10th houses. If Moon is in the 4th house, the experience is strongly associated. These individuals are emotionally tuned to their environment, absorbing moods, comfort levels, and subtle cues from others. In Hasta, this can lead to emotional over-identification. They feel their way through life and may become easily entangled in home or family dynamics. If Moon is in the 10th, association becomes tied to public roles. They are emotionally invested in how they're perceived and often feel responsible for maintaining composure, even while inwardly affected. If Mercury is in the 5th house, the experience leans toward mental dissociation. These individuals tend to observe emotion rather than fully feel it, especially in expressive or romantic situations. In Hasta, Mercury enhances clever detachment. They analyze their responses before allowing full emotional immersion. If Mercury is in the 10th, this dissociative tendency is refined into professional strategy. They know when to suppress reaction and maintain emotional neutrality in leadership or client-facing roles. If Saturn is in the 4th house, the dissociation is protective and habitual. These individuals often grew up in emotionally restrained environments and learn to shut down or contain emotional reactions. In Hasta, this results in a need for control. They stay functional by creating emotional distance, appearing composed even when feeling deeply. If Saturn is in the 10th, this pattern becomes public. They are stoic, emotionally reserved, and may lead through responsibility rather than emotional openness. If Ketu is in the 5th house, the experience is karmically dissociative. These individuals may feel disconnected from joy, play, or personal expression, interacting with life through symbolic or spiritual filters rather than visceral emotion. In Hasta, Ketu adds detachment to their need for precision. They feel more like observers than participants. If Ketu is in the 1st, this becomes identity-wide. They may move through life with quiet detachment, watching rather than deeply engaging, especially in emotionally charged or chaotic environments. If Sun is in the 1st or 10th house, there may be a return to conscious association. These individuals strive to embody their role, take responsibility, and remain present with their identity. In Hasta, Sun offers grounding. It helps bring the native back into the body and into purpose. While still discerning, they are more likely to associate with their path and commit to their experience when integrity is involved. Hasta's relationship with experience is defined by emotional control and mental clarity. They often dissociate to manage sensitivity, process quietly, and stay steady. Their growth lies in learning when to let go of the grip, to immerse when it's safe, to feel without fragmenting, and to trust the body and heart alongside the mind. When balanced, Hasta becomes a master of subtle presence, precisely engaged, emotionally aware, and skillfully connected. Hasta Nakshatra, approach, matching versus mismatching. Some individuals instinctively focus on what aligns, seeking patterns, harmony, and affirmation through a matching mindset. Others are wired to notice what's wrong, scanning for inconsistency, error, or imbalance through a mismatching approach. Hasta Nakshatra, ruled by the moon, intuition, mood, and co-ruled by Mercury, logic, critique, naturally leans toward a mismatching style. These natives have sharp observational skills and a tendency to analyze, adjust, or correct their surroundings. They're not always critical in tone, but their mind is calibrated to fix, refine, and improve. However, when emotionally steady or socially engaged, they can shift into matching mode, aligning with others to create flow, especially in service or healing roles. Which lens dominates depends on planetary placements, especially in the 3rd, 6th, and 10th houses. If Mercury is in the 3rd house, the mismatching lens is active and agile. These individuals quickly pick up on flaws in communication, planning, or process. In Hasta, Mercury sharpens their ability to critique constructively. They may edit others' words, solve problems before they escalate, or spot contradictions in logic with ease. If Mercury is in the 10th, this mismatching ability becomes professional. They are known for their quality control, refinement, and analytical strength in service-based or technical fields. If Moon is in the 4th or 6th house, mismatching appears in the sheer emotional realm. These individuals sense when something feels off, whether in tone, behavior, or relational energy. In Hasta, the Moon adds emotional alertness. They don't always verbalize what's wrong, but they withdraw or shift when the atmosphere isn't aligned. If Moon is in the 10th, this sensitivity turns public. They track emotional undercurrents in professional settings and may change their approach subtly to maintain emotional control. If Saturn is in the 6th or 10th house, mismatching becomes systematized and perfectionistic. These individuals operate with high standards and notice even subtle inefficiencies. In Hasta, Saturn's influence creates methodical reformers, quietly critical, but deeply invested in improving outcomes. If in the 10th, they may take on roles that require fixing broken systems, enforcing structure, or managing under pressure with little tolerance for error. If Jupiter is in the 3rd or 9th house, the mindset shifts toward matching, but in a principled or philosophical way. These individuals look for cohesion and meaning. They seek to harmonize ideas, people, or beliefs into something larger. In Hasta, Jupiter softens the analytical edge. They may still spot inconsistencies, but prefer to reframe them toward integration. If in the 10th, they often lead with wisdom, matching intention to impact in ways that benefit the greater whole. If Rahu is in the 3rd or 10th house, mismatching becomes disruptive or obsessive. These natives may focus excessively on what's not working, often using their hands, words, or intellect to challenge existing systems. In Hasta, Rahu amplifies their need to correct, rework, or reinvent, but without grounding. This can lead to burnout or relational friction. If in the 10th, they may be seen as relentless in their desire to prove or perfect. Hasta's strength lies in its keen eye for what doesn't fit, not to criticize, but to improve. These natives are natural fixers, healers, and crafters of clarity. Their challenge is learning when to let things be and when their corrections serve something greater than control. When balanced, they use mismatching not to create distance, but to bring things closer to precision, harmony, and quiet excellence. Hasta Nakshatra, time experience, in time versus through time. Some individuals live in time, present focused, emotionally attuned, and responsive to what's unfolding moment by moment. Others live through time, planning ahead, learning from the past, and aligning their actions with longer-term structure. Hasta Nakshatra, ruled by the moon, emotion, instinct, and co-ruled by Mercury, logic, timing, tends to lean toward an in-time orientation by default. These natives are sensitive to rhythm, tone, and immediate feedback, responding based on feeling, energy, or mood. However, their Mercury influence can develop a through-time style, especially when mental clarity, service, or discipline is prioritized. Planetary placements in the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th houses determine how consistently they stay in the present or expand their view toward broader timelines. If Moon is in the 1st or 4th house, the native is strongly in time. They are emotionally responsive, acting based on how they feel in the moment. In Hasta, this creates a natural sensitivity to timing. They instinctively know when to move or hold back, but may struggle to see beyond current mood or emotional tone. If Moon is in the 10th, this real-time awareness shifts into public roles. They react to energy in the environment and may appear adaptable, yet are deeply affected by emotional dynamics around status, work, or visibility. If Mercury is in the third or sixth house, a through-time orientation begins to emerge. These individuals think sequentially, learning through steps and processing experiences with a practical lens. In Hasta, this gives them a functional rhythm. They work best when they can manage their time, break goals into small tasks, and refine their timing with precision. If Mercury is in the 10th, this time awareness becomes part of their professional identity. They may be organizers, communicators, or problem solvers, known for getting things done with efficiency and foresight. If Saturn is in the 6th or 10th house, the time experience becomes deeply through time. These individuals operate with caution, long-term awareness, and structured planning. In Hasta, Saturn tempers emotional fluctuation. They learn to respond not just to how they feel, but to what needs to last. If Saturn is in the 10th, they often carry the weight of legacy or responsibility, acting with future impact in mind and delaying gratification in favor of endurance and reliability. If Rahu is in the 1st or 7th house, the native becomes hyper in time, chasing desire, attention, or transformation in the present moment. In Hasta, Rahu can disrupt their natural rhythm, pushing them to act before they feel ready, or committing to paths without long-term clarity. If Rahu is in the 10th, this urgency becomes career-driven. They may make bold public moves based on opportunity, but later need to reconcile impulse with sustainability. If Jupiter is in the 9th or 10th house, the native develops a big picture through time perspective. These individuals view life in arcs, guided by belief, ethics, and a desire to grow with meaning. In Hasta, Jupiter elevates emotional timing. They begin to understand not just when to act, but why, grounding their work and relationships in purpose and philosophical rhythm. Hasta's time experience is tied to flow, rhythm, and inner pacing. While naturally present and attuned to subtle cues, their evolution comes through integrating Mercury's logic and Saturn's patience, learning to hold emotion and action across time. When balanced, they become masters of timing, responding with care in the now while keeping one steady hand on the shape of what's to come. Hasta Nakshatra, primary interest motivation, people, activities, places, or things. Some individuals are primarily motivated by people, seeking connection, resonance, or emotional fulfillment. Others are driven by activities, engaging in tasks, problem solving, or creating something useful. For some, places hold the key, spaces that ground, protect, or inspire them. And others are motivated by things, objects, tools, resources, or the process of refining systems. Hasta Nakshatra, ruled by the moon, emotional sensitivity, rhythm, and co-ruled by Mercury, skills, precision, tends to be primarily motivated by activities and things. These natives find satisfaction in doing, especially with their hands, and are naturally drawn to refining, healing, fixing, and making. Their focus is often on how something works, not just who it affects. Planetary placements in the 1st, 3rd, 6th, and 10th houses help reveal which domain fuels their deepest motivation. If Mercury is in the 3rd or 6th house, activities become the dominant motivator. These individuals are highly task-oriented, thriving when they're solving, adjusting, or perfecting. In Hasta, Mercury enhances their mental agility and love of detail. They're most energized when engaging with routines, tools, or processes they can shape with intelligence and care. If Mercury is in the 10th, this motivation becomes career-aligned. They gravitate toward roles that involve precision, communication, or technical execution. If Moon is in the 1st or 4th house, the core motivation leans toward people, but selectively. These natives are emotionally attuned and can feel deeply connected to those they trust. In Hasta, the Moon adds a cautious nurturing. These individuals may care profoundly, but only once emotional safety is established. If Moon is in the 10th, this people focus turns professional. They feel most motivated when their work positively impacts others, especially in healing, caregiving, or emotionally supportive roles. If Saturn is in the 6th or 10th house, the native is strongly driven by things, particularly systems, responsibilities, and processes that require refinement and mastery. In Hasta, Saturn brings a sober, disciplined edge. They are often motivated to bring order, correct flaws, and create something durable. These natives may care about results more than recognition, motivated by the quiet satisfaction of getting something right. If Saturn is in the 10th, this becomes the backbone of their work ethic and professional identity. If Rahu is in the 1st or 10th house, motivation may appear focused on people or status, but at its root, it's often tied to the acquisition or mastery of things, tools, knowledge, recognition, or influence. In Hasta, Rahu can make the native obsess over skill or technique, sometimes using their craft as a way to gain validation. If Rahu is in the 10th, this desire becomes public. They pursue success not just to do well, but to be seen doing it exceptionally. If Venus or Jupiter is in the 4th or 9th house, places may subtly become a motivational anchor. These individuals find emotional and spiritual motivation through sacred spaces, homely environments, or philosophical locations, real or imagined. In Hasta, this can show up as a need for calm, contained workspaces, or emotionally meaningful settings that inspire the act of creation. Hasta's core motivation lies in the refined doing. They are often most fulfilled not just by what they feel, but by what they can improve, build, or heal. Their evolution lies in learning to balance emotional sensitivity with mental clarity, choosing actions and environments that support both their need for precision and their deeper yearning for quiet emotional satisfaction. When aligned, they become skilled creators, those who serve others not only through what they feel, but through the beauty and intelligence of what they make.